Hello friends, today we'll discuss the protein structure. Now, why this protein structure is so much important and it is difficult to understand because of its structure. It contains four types of structure, that is alpha helix, beta sheet, tertiary and quaternary. Let us discuss one by one. Primary structures of protein. Here the sequence of amino acid that comprise a protein is a primary protein structure. Means amino acid sequence are combined together. There is no complicated structure. This is a simple structure which is known as a primary structure. Amino acids are linked together by a peptide bond, as we know. Different amino acids differ inside chain R group. So here only R group is changed according to the amino acid. But all amino acids are in a sequence and join with the peptide bond. So that is the normal primary structure. It is the basic structure. In the primary structure, the CN bonds length of peptide is 10% shorter than the found in the usual CN amine bonds. This is because peptide bond has some double bonds like character due to resonance. So as a consequence, peptide bonds are in a one plane and this reduce the degree of freedom of the polypeptide during the folding. So primary structure in short have a peptide bond shorter than the individual structure. Now let us discuss secondary structure of protein. Secondary structure of protein is somewhat complicated than the primary structure. These are the region of ordered structure formed by interaction of hydrogen bond donor and hydrogen bond acceptor residue of the repeating peptide bond. So here hydrogen bond is there. There are three main secondary structure in this, that is alpha helix structure, beta plated sheet structure and beta turn structure. Let us discuss one by one. Alpha helix structure is proposed by Linus and Robert in 1950. It is the most common conformation, and it produced the spiral structure as you show in the figure. It is tightly packed coil polypeptide backbone. So backbone is polypeptide and with extending side chain. The formation of the alpha helix is spontaneous, so it produces spontaneously in the wherever it is required. It is stabilized by hydrogen bonding. Hydrogen bond is between the amide hydrogen and carbonyl oxygen of the peptide bond. It is spaced 4 residual apart. Alpha helix structure, what is the common? That is hydrogen bond when there is a formation. So when there is a one cycle, one spiral circle is over, almost 3 amino acid and another zero point 0.6 part of the another amino acid. So 3.6 amino acid coil and come in a such a way that CO of first amino acid and NH of fourth amino acid exactly exactly near so that there is a formation of hydrogen bond between CO and NH. So 3.6 amino acid when coil, there is a one circle, and the distance between the two that is a CO and NH, that is a hydrogen formation. So in between the two cycle, that is 2.8 angstrom. As we see, the orientation of hydrogen bonding produces a helical coiling of the peptide backbone such that R groups lie on the exterior bond. So R group remains outside of the helix structure and perpendicular to axis. So if we imagine that one a road is in a vertical position, the peptide bond back bond at the exterior part of the axis, and it is perpendicular to the axis. One turn of the spiral helical structure required 3.6 amino acid residue. So if we consider length, so that is a 3.6 amino acid. 3 amino acid and zero point 0.6 part of the fourth amino acid. When turned, it complete one circle or one cycle, and the distance between the spiral, that is 0.54 nanometer. So per turn, whatever space between the turn is a 0.54 nanometer. The R group of amino acid residue in an alpha helix force face outward side. Example of this type of structure is keratin, and another one is a myoglobin where 80% structure is helical. These are the various examples of the protein with alpha helical structure which are present in human beings, that are normally fibrous protein or globular protein. Fibrous proteins examples are alpha keratin of hair, nail, skin. Another is fibrin, which is present in, which is helpful in the blood coagulation. Third one is myosin and tropomyosin. Fourth one is the proteins in the wool. Another part is a globular part, globular protein we can say, that is hemoglobin. Structure of hemoglobin is having a 80% alpha helical structure, and another one is a myoglobin. Now let us discuss beta-plated sheet. Beta-plated sheet is a secondary level of protein. Here, backbone is a peptide chain and is extended into zigzag fashion. So it's look like a plate. What we use, the sheet with what we use on the terrace. So peptide bond organized in such a way that one part is ascending, another is descending, third is ascending, fourth is descending. So it look like a zigzag, or we can say it in the form of sheet. The beta-plated sheet can be formed between two peptide chains or between the different segments of the same peptide chain. Example of the beta-plated sheet structure are tryptophan, tyrosine, phenylalanine, isoleucine, valine, and threonine. These are the various characteristics of beta-plated sheet. In beta structure, each peptide is a planar and has a trans conformation. The C double bond O and NH groups of the peptide bonds from adjacent chain point toward each other and are in the same plane, so that hydrogen bonding is possible between them. So as you see in the figure, CONH is remain so that one chain NH bind with the CO of another chain. So as you see in the figure, every in center OH bond takes place between CO, C double bond O and NH, C double bond O and NH, C double bond O and NH. So that is how hydrogen bonding takes place, and structure two chains remain together and forms the plate-like structure. And all R groups on any one chain alternate. First R is above, second R is below, third R is above, fourth is below. So it makes the zigzag structure. Here two structures are given of the beta sheet, that is one is a First structure, if you see C terminus on the left side of the both chain and N terminus on the right side. So this is known as a parallel beta sheet. And second structure, C terminus and of the one chain is on the left side, that is upper chain, and N terminus on the left side of the second below chain. Whereas on the right side, N terminus of the first chain and C terminus of the second chain. So it is an anti-parallel structure. So it forms two types of structure. One is a parallel, second is a anti-parallel. If helical structure in the reverse turn, that is known as a beta turn, they allow polypeptide to turn abruptly and go in the opposite direction. So sometimes if it is the coil is in a clockwise direction, it becomes anti-clockwise. So proline and glycine are the frequently found in beta turns. Proline because it's a cyclic structure and ideally suited for the beta turn, and glycine because it's the smallest side chain. All amino acids is most sterically flexible. Now if we see what is the difference between alpha helix structure and beta plated sheet structure, both are secondary structure, but the difference is in alpha helix structure it's a coil structure, whereas in beta plated sheet it's a fully extended sheet-like structure. The axial distance between two amino acid in the alpha helix it's a 1.5 angstrom, whereas in beta it's a 3.5 angstrom. Number of constituent polypeptide chain in the alpha helix, that is only one chain takes part, whereas in beta sheet one or more polypeptide chains takes the part for the structure. Stabilized by the hydrogen bonds between NH and CO groups, the same polypeptide chain in alpha, whereas in beta may be same or may be different. Hydrogen bonds, it's parallel to polypeptide backbone into alpha helix, whereas in beta sheet it is perpendicular to polypeptide backbone structure. After primary and secondary structure, let us learn about the tertiary structure of the protein. Tertiary structure, it is known by tertiary because it is a three-dimensional structure of the polypeptide chain and it is in a folded form. Secondary structure, what we have seen, and loops come together to form a one complex formation that is known as a domain, and it is the smallest tertiary structure unit. Structural domains usually contain 100 to 200 amino acids and fold to make its stable structure. So normally tertiary structure contain 100 to 200 amino acids. They fold internally and makes the structure very stable. Domains may be considered to be connected units which are to varying extent independent of their structure, functions and folding behavior. So they behave or they act their own structure or own functions and own behavior. Each domain can be described by its fold, that is how the secondary structure elements are arranged. So in short, tertiary structure are complex formations of the 100 and 200 amino acid combined together and form one stable structure that is known as a tertiary structure. There are so many bonds are there. We discuss one by one what bonds are takes place in the tertiary structure of the protein. The bonding interactions involved in the tertiary structures are intramolecular bonds. So bonds are in the same structures, including disulfide bonds and non-covalent interactions like ionic bonds, hydrogen bonds, and van der Waals bonds, as well as hydrophobic interactions. Let us discuss one by one. Let us discuss what is covalent bond in the tertiary structure of the protein. Covalent bond, that is disulfide bond, takes place as per the figure. If you see, the disulfide bond is a bond between the two sulfur. Here in the black box it is shown, that is in the chain there is a CH2S of one part of the chain. When the chain is turned and another CH2 and S come or close to the that part, that both sulfur come close and form a bond, that is sulfide bond, disulfide bonds. So it is considered that these disulfide bonds make this part of the chain, their own part of the chain, in between, so it is an internal bond. So that chain remain close, so we can say folded. So this is a disulfide bond, it's a covalent bond. So when two such residue of this sulfur come and close together, form a covalent disulfide bond and can be formed as a result of oxidation. 2 cysteine residue involves in the bond formations. So when 2 cysteine part amino acid come together, there is a formation of the sulfide bond, disulfide bond. So these disulfide bonds in between to the 2 cysteine amino acid residue, which contain thiol, that is sulfur group. So in between that bonding formation takes place, 2 thiol, 2 sulfur, so it is known as a disulfide bond and it is a covalent bond. Another bond is ionic bond. Ionic bond, here it is shown in the black box, that is in between the lysine, arginine and histidine. So an ionic bond or a salt bridge can be formed between carboxylic ion and acidic residue such as aspartic acid, glutamic acid. So one is the ammonium part of a basic residue such as cysteine, arginine, and another one is the O. So Na3 and O combined together forms the intermolecular bonds and it is ionic bond. So one Na3 is a plus, O is a minus, so it is known as ionic bond. And these intramolecular bonds, it's the strongest bond in the peptide chain. Hydrogen bond, it is between, as we know, it is between the OH and another part is O. So it's a weak form of bond. It's a weak form of ionic interaction between the atoms having a partial charge. It can be formed between the large number of amino acid residue, serine, threonine, aspartic acid, glutamic acid, glutamine, lysine, arginine, histidine, tryptophan, tyrosine, aspargine. So here it is shown in the black box. One part of this OH and second part of the O. It makes a weak bond, hydrogen bond. Fourth bond is a van der Waals or hydrophobic interaction. It is weaker than the hydrogen bond. So it's a very much weaker. It takes place between two hydrophobic regions of the protein. Amino acids such as alanine, valine, leucine, isoleucine, phenylalanine, and proline have hydrophobic residue. So when these type of amino acids come together, it form a hydrophobic interaction, capable of interacting with hydrogen bond interaction. Amino acid methionine, tryptophan, threonine, tyrosine contain polar functional group, but also have significant hydrophobic characteristics. So van der Waals interactions takes place. So here it is shown in the black box, that is CH3 group, when methyl group come together, it form a hydrophobic interaction. So as we know that our body is full of water, so protein is also surrounded by water. So water being a high polar compound interact with the polar compounds. Hydrophilic amino acid residue remains on the surface. As you show in this figure, all hydrogen bonds are on the outer side, whereas the group which is hydrophobic like methyl, which remain inside in the structure. So now we can say that why the tertiary structure is a folded. Folded is because in such a way that hydrophobic molecules remain inside and hydrophilic residue remain outside. Now, why this bonding takes place? It takes place because most stable tertiary structure has most of the hydrophilic groups on the surface, so that it remains outside. So it interact with the water, and most of the hydrophobic groups, which is we know that it's a remain or it remain far from the water. So that is hydrophobic groups, which goes into the center of the structure to avoid the interaction with the water. So what are the groups which are water loving that remain outside of the chain, outside of the or on the surface of the structure, whereas hydrophobic moiety, hydrophobic structure, hydrophobic chemical remain inside the structure. So it will not have an interaction with the water. Hydrophilic amino acid form a hydrogen bond with the water. Thus, number of ionic and hydrogen bond contributing tertiary structure is reduced. This leaves van der Waals and hydrophobic interactions so largely determine three-dimensional structure of the protein. So hydrophobic and van der Waals bonds are stronger bond than the hydrophilic, that is the ionic and hydrogen bonds. Now let us discuss last type of structure, that is quaternary structure. We have discussed primary, secondary, tertiary and now quaternary structure of the protein. Quaternary structure of the protein is a result of several polypeptides to make unique functional protein, stabilized by non-covalent bond between the side chains of amino acid with different peptide chains. If we see example hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is formed by four peptide chains. So different peptide chains come together, associate together and form a non-covalent bond. Thus hemoglobin is a typical example of quaternary protein. Insulin is also a complex protein, but in that there is a disulfide bond. So it does not form a quaternary structure. So here you can see that there are two alpha chain, two beta chain of the hemoglobin. The hemoglobin structure in such a way that ferrous or a heme remain inside the structure. So it makes, or it we can say ferrous is deposited inside the structure. So hemoglobin is made up of four protein molecules, two alpha subunit, two beta subunit, and it forms a bond and makes a quaternary structure. So we can say that the quaternary structure involves interaction between exterior surface of the protein. Ionic bonding is more important to it than the tertiary. Here, it is not possible for a protein to fold of such a way that all the hydrophobic groups are towards the center. Some may remain outside. So, quaternary structure is a structure which known as a, or example is a hemoglobin, best example. So in summarize, we can say that there are four type of structure. Primary structure, which is linear and having a peptide bond. Secondary structure, they are alpha and beta plated sheet. Backbone is a hydrogen bond. Tertiary structure is overall three-dimensional arrangement of the polypeptide chain. It includes hydrophobic bonds, hydrogen bonds, and disulfide bonds, as well as ionic bonds. Quaternary structure, association of two or more polypeptide chains, and it's a multi-subunit complex, example hemoglobin. Thank you, friends.